All right, good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us this evening. I have 6 p.m. and Chair Hein, we are live streaming, so we're ready when you are.
All right. Thank you, LJ.
Thank you.
Welcome, everyone. I'd like to call to order the Historic District Commission meeting for Monday, September 14th, 2020. And let's get started with the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. The Frostburg Historic District Commission implements the city's Historic Preservation Overlay District of the Frostburg Zoning Ordinance, Section 4, as adopted in 2014, pursuant to the authority granted by the Maryland Land Use Article, Section 8, as adopted in 2012, of the Annotated Code of Maryland. This meeting is open to the public and is conducted in compliance with the State of Maryland's Open Meeting Act. The Frostburg Historic District Commission is charged with the preservation of historic structures and their surroundings within the designated district in order to safeguard the heritage of the city, stabilize and improve property values, strengthen the local economy, and foster civic beauty. All right, let's do the roll call, please. Bill Dettinburn. I think he raised his hand, LJ.
Yes, Mr. Dettinburn is here. Let the record show he's present with us, and I'm going to try to unmute him and see if I can help.
Okay. Rob Raypan.
Present.
Dawn Hein, that is me, I am present. Joe Hoffman.
Present.
Maureen Brewer.
Here.
And our alternate, Daniel Filer, I don't believe is with us this evening.
No, he is not. Thank you, Chair.
All right, so let's move on to review and approval of the agenda. So commissioners, if you would please review the agenda, and when you are ready, if I could have a motion.
I make this is Maureen Brewer. I make a motion to accept the agenda.
Rob Raypan, I'll second.
All right, having a motion and a second, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, motion passes. Again, commissioners, if you would please review the minutes from our previous meeting of August 10th. And when you are ready, if I can have a motion.
Joe Hoffman, I move approval of the minutes.
Maureen Brewer, I'll second.
All right, having a motion and a second, all in favor, please say aye.
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 All right, motion passes. All right, then that brings us to our project presentations. And our first presentation is Somerset Trust, 3 South Broadway, with an alteration and commercial signage and landscaping. LJ, who do we have today to talk about this project?
This evening, I'm pleased to introduce Mr. Aaron Hoover of Somerset Trust.
Hey guys.
Welcome.
Thank you. So what we have here is basically what you can see in the packet there. But as you walk through the slides, what you'll see is the one that's currently shown on the screen. That is a backup image. The one that we've gotten approval on, at least from the standpoint of design, it's the color, this version right here. So this is what we're requesting for what we put along Main Street above the time and temperature sign that BB&T used to have. So we've been working with Alex Jenkins on that. Everything I believe is squared away on all that, but this is what we're proposing for the signage that we'd like to put there. Basically, introducing them to us, suggesting that there's a drive-through and also an ATM on location. And then if you scroll back up a couple of, yep, this one right here kind of shows. So the one that you see on the windows there, that's actually storefront glass, and that's perforated vinyl. So it isn't part of any permanent signage or anything like that. Basically, you can see out, but people can't see in from the street. So it gives a level of privacy for what's being conducted inside as well. But it's just a way to dress up that site and let people know that we're here. And again, that can be a seasonal message or anything like that. We really want to, you know, cater to what anything that you guys might have going on that the city has going on, or to play up any type of special message that we want to promote for the holidays or anything like that. It wouldn't be ever selling products or anything. It'd just basically be naming the services and what we're here, in fact, to do. And then above that, we'd be using these existing sign faces. So there's nothing that we would need to get resized or anything. Those sign faces exist, or I'm sorry, the sign cabinets. We would just be replacing the sign faces. The other couple of things, these are the future home of. We're not quite sure where Kenny Signs is with the production of these. If in fact they have them ready, we're going to go ahead and put them up with everyone's blessing this evening. Basically, we have an interior facelift that we want to do just to kind of freshen up everything and put our cameras in that we need that works with our security systems, our access control, and some updated lighting for the staff that will be positioned there. Some other things you can kind of see from this picture are the landscaping. Those are definitely areas that we want to improve upon and basically trim everything back, make it healthy growth. And also, if you're looking at this picture that's on the screen, right to the right of that, you'll see a pipe sticking up there. And to the right of that is where the water line is, the water connections and everything like that. What we're working with the landscaper, who is Level Acres, is to create a passageway there, a walkway to get to that side entrance door for anyone coming off the street that may have a meeting with a lender or with someone to open a new account, which would be, for the most part, those people will be directed to the hub location, which is at the former Weimer's Auto location at the Gateway uptown. So again, some of the things we want to do is improve the landscaping. We want to do new asphalt. There's a lot of potholes and things in drive-up lanes. There's some damaged concrete to the piers in the center of the drive-up lanes. Just things that are existing, we want to just touch up and give a fresher appearance. There are also a couple of things. And LJ, would this be appropriate to bring up the window and the door?
Yes, it would.
Okay. So two things that actually there's three little items that we're not suggesting for approval right away unless everyone is okay with it. And this is a good view right here. If you look underneath of that sign that you can see there, it says ATM. What's in behind there is an office space that they use for their back office. They use it for a server room and for a break area for employees. What we'd like to do is cut a window in there, 3 foot by 6 foot window that would allow natural light to come in to allow that to be used as an office that we can have walk-ins come in, especially loan closings, things like that, for people that don't want to travel to the location, across town. So if we put that window in there, we'd also be proposing the addition of a second door that would enter into the back. So if there's a view, LJ, that kind of looks at the front, I can kind of explain where the position right here. That's good.
How's that view? Is that good?
Perfect. Yep.
Yep.
So if you see that entrance that walks into that front vestibule to the left, go further to the left. There's a wall there. We could put another door in there that would be ADA accessible, that would allow for a customer to come in that may have special needs, that would allow them to come into an office space where they can actually sit down and talk with a member of our staff that would be set up with an office space in that section. So those are two requests that aren't part of this, visually aren't part of this packet, but we're seeking permission for. And then finally, we want to install a drive-up deposit-taking video teller ATM machine that would allow for access before and after our typical business hours that would match our call center hours. So we would essentially be able to extend face-to-face contact with customers until 9 p.m. in the evenings and open as early as 7 a.m. in the morning. So they would have a sense of face-to-face contact with one of our people, regardless of whether we're open for the day or not. So again, those are three items that we want to do. Our intention is if we don't get the approval for the ATM right away, which is probably our biggest priority because we do have the ATM ordered, but what we can do in lieu of that until we get the approvals would be to put a walk-up ATM in that vestibule area in the front. We could do a temporary Triton there that would be freestanding and would at least allow people to have 24-hour access to cash. And we would pursue the drive-up option, if warranted at a later time. But that's pretty much the scope of what we're looking at here. Again, we want to honor the historic district. We want to reflect, the look and feel of in town there. And we just want to make a better presence, make it more visually appealing and kind of fall in line with what your guys' initiative is for the city.
Wasn't there a drive-through in the back already of that building?
Yes, sir. Yep, there are two drive-through lanes back there. One of which is a second lane. It has a vat tube system. Everything still exists. We intend to keep it that way. The deal drawer, we're doing maintenance on that so that we have a fresh start, so to speak. But yes, lane one, which is the closest to the building, would have the night drop in it. So 24-hour service night drop, the drive-up teller window, which you could talk to someone face-to-face. And then as you leave that lane, that's where the 24-hour ATM would be protruding, sticking alongside of the deal drawer glass right in that line. So we would allow for stacking for someone to be able to utilize the night drop and the ATM at the same time.
Is that ATM, Aaron, is that going to be used by pedestrian as well as traffic?
Yeah, it absolutely could. The only thing we'd have to watch there, we'd have to make sure that everyone was aware, and this is just something we could create an awareness around, is that in fact we would have drive-up vehicles that they would have to be wary of. Now, the other option would be, as I mentioned earlier, we do that walk-up Triton in the front. We could actually do both of those things. But the idea behind this is to create a convenience in the uptown that, or downtown area, I believe that's how it's referred to, would be to create that convenience for all the walking traffic that is in fact prevalent in the area, as well as all the local businesses. We don't want them to have to run across town to try to catch the bank at an open time to be able to get change or to be able to, make their deposits or anything like that for the day to get credit for them on time.
So Aaron, could you explain, I guess one thing I didn't follow is when you were talking about an ATM that would be in the front of the building, where would that be?
Yeah, so LJ, if you could go to that. Yep. So go to your right a little bit. Inside of this area right here, there's essentially enough. We've done the measurements and calculations. Inside of there, we could put a walk-up only. It's a small ATM unit that would be cash dispense only. If they want to do deposits, they'd have to use the other machine. But this would at least allow quick access to cash. They could walk in and have a secure space to conduct that transaction and then be on their way, kind of thing. So yeah, there is.
That's inside the building.
Yes, sir. But what we could do is we could allow access to that area because it will be separated off from the rest of the branch with bulletproof glass deal drawer windows. There would be no risk for someone coming in there. They would use a card swipe. So to get in, so that the doors won't be blowing open and things like that, they could swipe their card and get in and use the ATM at any time that they wish.
Okay.
Thank you.
That's what I was going to ask about, because especially if you put something vinyl over that window, I'd be kind of worried that somebody could be in there and then you'd walk in and nobody could see you. So.
Sure.
So another question, Aaron, is I used to use that bank a lot, so I'm familiar with the way it is now when you walk in from the front. I'm assuming that the basic structure would be the same, correct?
Yeah, pretty much. So the change that we would do on the inside to increase the level of service will be, we'll limit that to one walk-up teller area. So there'll be one walk-up teller that anyone would have access to. And we would also make it ADA compliant if we proceed the other option as far as creating that other opening. Because when we create that other opening, we essentially would be able to widen the turning radius inside of that opening to the left that would allow for that entry to be ADA accessible. Now, once you get inside of there, and this is something that we looked at to create convenience and the timeliness of loan documentation signings and things like that, there's what they call smart lockers. And essentially what it is it's self-serve safe deposit boxes, for lack of a better term, that would allow someone to create a drop-off point for loan docs for signings. So they could drop it off, have everything signed, put it back in this particular locker. It has a bay of, I believe, 10 or 12 lockers that would be available for whoever would need to use them. And then they would have access to that based on a QR code that they'd scan at this machine. And then it would allow them to either drop off docs, pick up coin, change, anything like that. And they'd have their own private ability to send documents back and forth. So we feel that that would alleviate some of the reliance on drive up and would also expedite the process, because if we'd have a loan officer run out across town across to this branch, they could stop by that locker, pick up that document, and be well on their way and possibly save a day or two as far as processing times go. That's one example of the features of these things. So that's kind of what we're looking at.
Do we have any other questions? Any further discussion?
So I guess one of the questions I have, Aaron, is looking at the front, which is now glass. And if you have some kind of, what did you call that thing that you were going to put on the glass?
Yeah, that's perforated vinyl. Basically, it's essentially like a window cling type thing, but it's porous, so it has holes in. That's one way, so you can see out and make sure that all the security measures are in place. We'll have lighting. It'll be really well lit as far as the exterior perimeter and inside. So what that would allow for is clear lines of sight from anyone that's inside.
Have you thought about, though, if someone goes in after hours at night, they are no longer visible from the outside? Does that
Sure.
cause a security problem at all?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it would essentially be no different than having someone come into a vestibule that doesn't have storefront glass. So we have other branch locations where we have the ability to walk in and it's essentially a wall. So they'd come in and they'd have a secure space to conduct a transaction, and they would be in a secure environment. Now, what we could do is, that's only one example on the drawings that's on here. We could limit that to one window. Maybe we just put the perforated vinyl on the center, or maybe we put it on two ends and leave the middle open. Those are other options as well. It would be whatever you guys would be agreeable to.
Yeah, and I raised the question only because of that that issue of if someone is in there at night and someone else gets in with them, to be visible from the outside gives some sense of security to the person that's inside.
Yeah.
Sure.
What I
Yep.
mean.
Agreed. Yes, sir. Yeah, we'll look at altering that so that we do have a clear view from the outside for that particular reason. Thank you for raising that point for sure.
Any further discussion, or commissioners, are you ready to make a motion?
Just one more question. Do we want to add the proposed window on the side to this when we make the motion?
I think there was a window and then a door as well,
Or-
right?
Right.
Yes,
And then currently is the drive up ATM included in this, LJ, or was that something it was?
yes, I think it would be most expeditious if we could include, I mean, you may want to do two different motions because we're talking
Mhm.
about signage and exterior alterations. But
Right.
yes, if you feel comfortable crafting motions for both sets of those plans, that would be best to do in tonight's meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks. Thank you very much.
So commissioners, I think if we make a motion on the signage separate from the exterior additions, the window, the door, and maybe even the drive-up ATM is separate from those two even. So unless we have any further questions for Aaron, can I have a motion, or is there further discussion?
Joe Hoffman, I'd like to make a motion to approve the signage portion of the application. I studied the application and all relevant documents and presentation related to the case. I'm familiar with the property in question. I find the proposed changes are compatible with the neighborhood because they're a general compatibility of exterior design, scale, proportion, arrangement, texture, and materials to be used. Based on these findings, I move to approve the proposed signage pursuant to section 4.1.j.1.c.
I'll second.
Do we have any public comment?
Public comment was solicited via Facebook, and we've received none.
All right, thank you, LJ.
Mhm.
So having a motion and a second, can we please do the roll call?
Certainly. Commissioner Dettinburn,
Aye.
Commissioner Repan,
Aye.
Commissioner Hoffman,
Aye.
and Commissioner Brewer.
I should have probably brought this up at the beginning, but I need to recuse myself from this project because I work for a competitor. So I'm recusing my vote for these two.
Understand. Thank you very much, Commissioner Brewer. Let the record show we have a vote of 3 commissioners and 1 recusal. The motion passes.
All right. So how Commissioners, how would you like to address the additional, or the new window, I should say, and the new door into the building? My
One
only concern,
Go ahead.
my only concern with that was that we don't have any details about what the window would look like, what the door would look like. So I think, well, I'll let the commissioners go ahead and make a comment on that.
Yeah, Dawn, I also think we really need to see what the window and door would look like. Conceptually, it sounds fine, but since we don't know the details, it's hard to really approve and give a blanket approval to something we have not seen.
I agree with that, Joe.
Well, if it pleases the commission, how about Aaron and I continue to work together? We'll get a drawing put together for you, and we'll bring that up at the next meeting. Aaron, will that work for you as well?
Absolutely, yes.
Great. Okay, then that's something we can take care of and bring back to you in next month's meeting if it pleases the commission.
And then we could approve, maybe we could approve the landscape part in with the sign, or do we need to do that separately? Because I don't think that's, at least I don't have a problem with whatever they decide to do with the landscaping. Can we consider that approved along with the signage, or should we make another motion or wait?
Dawn, in this case, is landscaping for a building like this, is that something that we as a commission should be considering?
I don't know that we have anything in our recommendations as far as landscaping goes. I think what was proposed was a walkway where currently there is landscaping rock. Am I correct?
Correct, yes.
So I'm not sure. LJ, do you happen to have the recommendations there in front of you?
I do. In regard to landscaping, what our guidelines recommend is that planters should be appropriate to the setting of the building. Window boxes should be in proportion to the window elements. Retaining plants, trees, fencing, walkways, streetlights, signs, and benches that reflect the property history and development. And if changes in site are made, they should be carefully evaluated in light of the past appearance. That's everything we recommend in terms of landscaping.
So I think we can probably go ahead and make a motion on the landscaping. If you're amendable to that, commissioners.
Yeah, I can make a motion that we approve the landscaping as proposed in the presentation.
I second that.
All right, having a motion and a second, is there any public comment? Any others on the Zoom call today? All right, LJ, can we have a roll call?
My pleasure. Commissioner Dettinburn,
I approve.
Commissioner Repan,
I approve.
Commissioner Hoffman.
I approve.
Thank you. Let the record show we have 3 approvals and 1 recusal. The motion passes.
So I think that leaves the ATM machine. Commissioners, what do you think about the addition of the ATM machine? in the drive-through lane?
with respect to the Historic District Commission, I think that having an ATM machine there in that area of the building, which is not truly visible from the front, should not affect the historic nature of the building. However, as I said earlier in my comments to Aaron, there is a safety issue, I would think, relevant to having an ATM that's available to pedestrians and also vehicles moving at the same place. And that's just something that I think he needs to consider.
Probably the general public could use that too, right? You wouldn't have to be a customer of Somerset Trust to use that outside one, right?
Absolutely. Nope. It'd be available to everyone.
But if it was the other way around, if there was only one in the lobby, after hours, you'd have to be a customer so you could scan your card and get through.
Well, actually, the way that works is they have magstripe card latch readers. So basically, anybody's card that has a magstripe will be able to access the building.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I'd be willing to make a motion that includes the caveat that we recommend that they consider the safety issue of that pedestrian accessible ATM. But if that's okay with the rest of you.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
Yeah.
Okay, I've studied the application and all relevant documents related to the case. And I find that the proposed ATM that is going to be available to pedestrians as well as to traffic at the rear of the building meets all of our necessary qualifications for the Historic District Commission via section 4.1.J.1.C. However, I do urge that they consider the safety issues of pedestrians and traffic at the same place, maybe through signage, but anyhow, that's just a suggestion.
I'll second that motion. Rob Repan.
All right, do we have any public comment?
None received, Chair. Thank you.
All right, then can we please have a roll call on this motion?
Pleasure. Commissioner Dettinburn,
I approve.
Commissioner Repan,
I approve.
Commissioner Hoffman.
I approve.
Thank you. Let the record show we have 3 approvals and 1 recusal. The motion passes.
All right, thank you, Aaron, and welcome to Frostburg.
Oh, thank you guys. Appreciate all your support and help.
Thanks, Aaron.
Hey, Aaron, a quick question. When would you propose to have this building open and available to the public?
It's going to be, we're well underway. We have a site meeting down there tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. So we're going to go over some of the things that were discussed here this evening. We'll make sure that we evaluate all the necessary window coverings as well as ATMs and things like that. But we hope that we're probably within a few weeks, 3 weeks maybe, before we can open.
Oh, terrific.
Right.
Yeah, we have the staff on hand, so it's a matter of getting the building completed, and we'll be ready.
That's great news, Aaron. Thanks. If you have time, stop in and see us when you're in town.
Okay, will do. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Aaron. All right, our next project presentation this evening is John Felton with Clatter Cafe, 15 South Broadway.
Hello.
Hi, John.
Hi.
So why don't you go ahead and tell us about your project?
We are trying to
change our ordering area. Let me move this up a little bit. The area of Clatter where you order right now at the outside window, it gets congested, not the best from the inside or the outside. So we want to add an additional window. Not adding a new window, but another window that's already in the building to make it look like the first window. So there'd be one window, if you guys are familiar, there's an orange awning with little lights around it. So there'd be a second one of those. And a person would come to the new one and order and then pick up at the second one rather than all clumping around the first one. And then while doing that, then we want to add it's a little ugly over there. And also that, as it turns out, coronavirus has made a situation where we're using a wall that we had initially thought of as mostly for utilities. So we'd like to use a border to make a defined area around the windows. So one's eye is drawn to the cared for and pretty part of the wall. And we want to delineate that with both a border, a rectangle around the two windows and down to the ground. Also with a surface change inside that area. I find this a little bit difficult to describe, but I'm going to try to. So starting from, I don't know the familiarity you have with the wall I'm talking about, but our utilities are, so we already did that when we put in our hood system for our kitchen, kind of put a whole corrugated metal section around it that made it seem more on purpose. This would be an additional section that goes up to, there's the two windows, both are very tall, and they have original molding at the top of them, and that would stay. Our border would come right about to the bottom of that molding and then go a little ways beyond the windows on either side. So this is like the ordering area that's defined as part of within like a very big wall. The contrasting surface that we want to do would actually be the original wood siding of the building, which we have reason to believe from some other parts of the building behind that tile, the wood siding is in a lot of other areas appears to be in good shape. It's really pretty. So we're hoping that this can be a marked out area that looks like that, except we would paint the wood gray to cause the orange awnings to pop. There's a chance, so hopefully the group would like that, the commission would like that, but there's a chance that we'll open it up and find out that the wood is destroyed or ruined beyond what we can fix. And then if that happened, then we would want to use a different surface. It's a kind of concrete board, often used as a backer board. That is also, we've also used it on the front of our building in some spots. It's something you can buy and use sort of like drywall, although in smaller sheets, but its look and feel and actual fabrication is that it's more like concrete. So that's the idea for that side. We'd also like this I think was mentioned when we went about we're talking about the first window, that we want to put a sign up there that is it's a vertical sign, and it says Clatter going down. Somewhat in that, only in its shape, is reminiscent of like a barbershop sign, or like an old like diner sign or motel sign with a little arrow at the bottom. So those are the things we're thinking about for the front. Is that a clear explanation? I can picture it very well, and I have a drawing, so I'm ready to field any questions about it.
Would that Clatter sign be lighted?
So far, we have not thought of lighting the Clatter sign. I mean, we talked about it, but our life lately has been as a 7 a.m. to 2 p.m. place. So far the plan is not for it to be lighted, but lighting it is definitely a thing that could happen if the commission wishes.
I was thinking maybe like the way the Gunter Hotel awning is lighted from behind, so it comes out through the letters. That might look neat.
Probably would. You look into it. That is a more expensive sign.
Oh,
But you know,
that's the catch.
that could be okay. Our current plan is to have it be a painted sign. There's a local artist named Ryan who did the sign for the Allegheny Trail House, who is doing drawings for us, where it would be a lettering that I like, that I'm not sure how to associate it, what era to associate it with, but it's, you know, it's like a shadowed lettering and looks like a brush stroke, and typically it's like gray behind. I feel like every gas station used to have that lettering in like 60s, but I'm not sure.
So that would be the same treatment then on the sign that we see at the Allegheny Trailhouse?
It's the same artist. It wouldn't be the same aesthetic. It would be, I don't know how to describe the difference in aesthetic, but lower brow, less about being ornate.
Mhm.
Well, I don't know, there's aspects. Less about being ornate and more about, I'll say that it is, you know, doing it with this guy painting it. I mean, he's good at old style lettering, which is one of the fun things about Ryan. Initially, I wanted to just do wooden letters that stuck out that were just plain black. It should be simple and easy to read. With each letter probably like 6 to 8 inches tall.
Whoa.
What is the material of the sign, are you thinking?
The sign would be wood.
What colors are you talking about making it?
The sign, if I should have learned ahead of time how to sort of show a little drawing up there. The sign is, it's rectangular in shape to accommodate the vertical letters Clatter, cafe across the bottom. And so the border of the sign would be orange, like the same as the awnings. And then the inside color background of the sign going down is like an off-white tan, sort of like the color of the current tiles siding on the wall. And then the lettering are probably like maroon with the gray shadow. Maroon is the color that a lot of the trim on that building was when we got it. And the upper story windows, all their trim is maroon.
If you are not able to use the wood siding, once you remove the siding that's on top, what is the name of the material that you're looking at as a option B?
A common brand name for it is Hardy board. It's often used as a backing material, but can be used to really good effect as a design material, which the guy who did our interior design and exterior design, Stephen Manger, used to really good effect inside the building, and in some places outside the building, though less. If a person were walking by the front of our building, 1 second. Hey, Laura, can you bring it down a little bit? Thank you. On the outside of our building, there's some swaths of it out there already. They are green. And then more recently, you could see an example of it around the doorway to the apartments above Dante's. And there they have stained it brown. Ours would be gray. Oh, a really good example of it in use actually is on Stephen Ranger's house. I didn't think of that. On Yule Street, he used it as the exterior of his house. And so it's all over there.
The actual wood siding that you hope to see underneath, what kind of wood siding is it? Is it Dutch siding, or what kind of siding is it?
It's what I think of. I think it is German siding. I'm not really knowledgeable about this, but I think it's what people refer to as German siding. It's so this is speaking not as a person who knows about siding. It's a type that is these long horizontal boards rather than a series of any kind of shingle. And it's cut in a way that is imitated by a lot of vinyl siding. The sort of angle like this and down. It's 7/8 inch thick and about 4 to 5 inches tall.
Gotcha. Yeah, that would be really, I think that would be really super if the siding is in good shape, that you could paint it as original. It would be appropriate for sure.
The gentleman who's doing the work for us thought of it, and Nick Tenalio, and yeah, it's a great idea, and it's likely. We haven't seen all the siding under there, but there are places like in the back of the building and elsewhere where we have exposed the wood, and it was pretty good. And some defects, since it's going to get painted, some defects could be repaired. So hopefully, even if it's not perfect, it might still work out.
Well, Jonathan, that reminds me of my house.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean, in the sense of it's an old house with that kind of siding, and yes, I understand over the years it can get its nicks and whatever, but you can always make it presentable.
That's great. That's what I hope.
Look more original too, I think, if you keep that original, if you can keep that siding.
Jonathan, what's on the bottom that's gray in the picture?
Oh, that's a good question. That is that is plywood. It's been there since we got the building, and we're not really sure what it's covering. It looks like from most places that the kind of tannish yellow siding we see on the outside goes pretty much down to the bottom of that plywood. But I imagine they put the plywood there for some other reason besides decoration. I don't know. Maybe it's decoration. When we got the building, there was a strip, like a border between that lower gray plywood and the siding above. It looked like what it looked like was this sort of shape of a molding. I don't know if you can see that, but it was larger and it was made of rubber. It peeled off in one long floppy line. I don't know what it was. Anyway, the answer to your question is that it's plywood and we don't know what's underneath it.
The siding that's on that side of the building now is asbestos siding, is it not?
I think that it is. One of the nice things for it is that it can pretty much come off a tile at a time without breaking up.
Right. Oh, yeah.
Right.
The new background would just come down to that gray board. That's what you're planning?
No, we'd like to be done with the gray board. So the new background would come down as far as the siding goes. And
To the stone.
probably if the siding didn't go the whole way, we would probably try to fake it the rest of the way.
Because there is a stone foundation part that sticks up down there, right?
Yes, we would go probably to the stone part. Let that continue to be the bottom straight, because that makes a straight line.
Mm-hmm.
The stone is not in the best shape, but it's doing its job. It's actually strange. I don't. Maybe some of you already know this, but it appears from the inside, like when we were doing big renovations, replacing the floor, that there's a stone foundation for the building in the basement, and then an additional stone foundation that's moves out a bit and sits on the sidewalk.
Mhm.
And maybe that's why the sidewalk's so short. I don't know.
Commissioners, do we have any further questions?
Yeah, Jonathan, one question. I like the concept that you're talking about here for the two windows, the order and the pickup. But would you have then a molding that would surround that area that you newly exposed? I see it on your diagram, but I'm not sure. Is that something you intended?
Yes, it would be white, so it would be a sharp distinction. 1 second. It's actually better to stay. Yeah, it would be a very defined, because that's our whole point. We really want to direct the eye in towards the most intentional parts of that wall. It probably would be like white PVC border. If you've seen this product, it's like a PVC board, so it will already be white and it won't rot. And then there would be like this is structural, I guess, but there'd be like a drip edge across the top that keeps water from getting down behind our PVC border. It gets a little funky if you're looking at a picture over on the right side, close to above the ordering window is where we see the air conditioning units, and the top of our rectangle is kind of right below the molding at the top of the windows. So that right hand corner is trickier, but we can do it.
All right, commissioners, do we have a motion?
I'll go ahead and make a motion. I've studied the application, all relevant documents and presentation related to this case, and I'm familiar with the property in question. And I find the proposed changes of adding a window and signage and backing are compatible with the neighborhood and the general exterior design. And based on these findings, I move to approve the proposal pursuant to section 4.1.J.1.C and 2.C and G.
Just a question, Rob, are you talking now only about this portion of the proposed changes?
Just because that's all we've talked about, right? Just the windows, well, changing the window, changing the background, and then adding the Clatter sign.
Yeah, I will second that.
Great.
All right, do we have any public comment, LJ?
None has been received. Thank you, Chair Hein.
Any of those who are on the Zoom call today, do you have any comment? All right, can we have a roll call, please?
With pleasure. Commissioner Dettinburn,
I approve.
Commissioner Repan,
I approve.
Commissioner Hoffman,
I approve.
and Commissioner Brewer.
Approved.
Ah,
Thank
great.
you. Let the record show that's a unanimous vote in favor.
Great. We have something new. After our break, we're going to close for a little bit and try and do some of this. But when we open back up, we think that then we'll be able to start doing our own sodas as well, some craft sodas. That'll be cool. A nice thing from the window.
That'll be great, John. Thanks so much for joining us this evening. We'll certainly be in touch.
I appreciate it, everyone.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, John.
All right, our third presentation this evening is Robert Dettinburn, 14 West Main Street, alteration for the facade and commercial signage.
Hello, everyone.
Hi there. Why don't you just go ahead and tell us about the changes and alterations you're talking about tonight?
Yep, I think, and I'm sure this will happen at the end, we need to clarify and at least come to some kind of understanding on the hardy board on the front of our, that has already been placed up. But other than that, we're actually not looking to do any alterations at all. We're actually looking, and it won't happen this year, it'll happen more towards probably the beginning or spring of 2021, but we will be, the hardy board won't be used on the rest of the building. If you look down on this picture, we'll just be painting the same styles, the black and the grays, and then really just re-signing the existing signs with Dig Deep West, which is what we've chose to call it. And there'll be some other signage coming up. We're not sure what to do with the other three. It's probably going to say Dig Deep West, brew house and tap room at Dante's. But the rest of it will really be repair and paint. And when I say repair, there's a couple windows that have plywood halfway down. The doors are, although functioning, they're in disrepair. And we would be looking to add the same door as we put on the main storefront. We would continue the same door all the way down the building. Again, the paint, and then really just re-signing the existing. It would be the existing size. It would just be refacing the signs and then fixing anything. Talked to LJ quite a bit about the trim and things of that nature. Our intention is to leave all the trim the same. If something is not similar or the same as we move down the building, we would then present that to you and say, hey, we can't find this. When replacing the window, we have this, and here's what we propose on using. But really, there are no alterations. And the hardy board that was used where the door for the apartments was used, it was plywood before and was eaten up pretty bad by the salt and the weather. And talking to the contractor, we thought it would be a good use and aesthetic use that is going to hold up much better than plywood for the folks that are living upstairs. Because, you know, at the time we started, the door wouldn't close and it kind of flapped in the wind. And we tried to improve that aesthetically and also put something on it that would withstand kind of the weather there on the front better than that board.
Hey, LJ.
Yes,
This is Maureen Brewer. I had a, didn't we already approve the signage for this?
we did approve the signage.
Okay, I thought so.
We approved the signage and it was, wasn't that to be metal
Mhm.
signage? Is
16 gauge steel
Yeah.
with similar system of cutouts
Yeah,
being
right.
mounted on the same light boxes. So the only thing that would be different was the
Names.
front piece of the signage. Is that correct, Robert?
Yep, it's correct. And if depending on the steel, if we've been talking back and forth with the sign people, it could possibly be wood as well, but it's going to be either metal or wood, consistent with and painted. So it's not going to be any different than what it is now, only look better, or it's going to be steel and cut out.
Okay, so the steel was approved. If that would change to wood, do please come back and talk to us about that.
Okay.
Rob, when are you planning to move in?
We're at the construction's already complete. We're at the mercy of the Maryland comptroller, that part of the office. Talking with Sinead and Tom, we called down last week. That part of that office is still not functioning yet. So really, we have no idea, to be honest.
Well, that's unfortunate.
It is. Can we talk about if we choose to do it in wood now? Like I said, it wouldn't be any different than, it would still be the same exact concept, only it would be wood, and it would probably most likely be painted black. Well, it will be painted either black or gray, but most likely black, so that when you turn the light on, because it is already backlit, it would then shine through as it does now.
So the two things that we're looking to do a motion on this evening would be possible change of material for the sign and the hardy board. Everything else has been approved. Is that correct, LJ?
We haven't, Mr. Dettinburn is talking about potentially in the future, repairing these windows all the way at the right-hand side underneath the sign that says music.
Okay,
You can see where I'm scrolling over. There's a portion of plywood covering the top portions of the glass.
right.
He's proposing in the future to replace that with the full glass window, the way it's intended to be originally. Is that
And then
correct, Robert?
yes, that's correct. And everything else would just be paint. And if we
And it-
had to put, if we have to put some type of siding on, or something to cover that the middle spot there where it's that, then we would bring that to you folks as well. But again, that won't be till 2021.
And the color scheme remains the same as what we see here with the gray and the black.
Yes, it'll always be gray and black, everything, including the signs.
Robert, that section where LJ's pointing to now, the third section down, LJ.
Right here?
Now, go on down to your right.
Yeah, under the music.
Well, not to the music. I can't make out what that word is.
One to the left says art.
Art, yes. I got my glasses on now. Is that going to stay like that, or do you think that you're going to expose, is there glass behind that?
We don't really know what's behind it. I don't know if Tom got on. I think I saw his name earlier. That was a storefront that is really a storage room now. We plan on really just painting, replacing the door to make it consistent with the rest of the building.
And leaving that window, that size that's there?
Correct.
So basically, all you'd be doing is replacing the door with the same door that we see on the left part of the building?
Yeah, because we wouldn't want any window or any glass to be in that, because it's only a storage room. Once you go in there, it's pretty small. It's just a small storage room, doesn't have access to anything else.
Okay, so it's replacing that door with the same door that's on the left, keeping the same paint scheme that you had, color scheme that you have. Looking at the signage, which we've already approved, but you're asking if it could remain wood rather than change to metal.
Correct. I want to know that I have options, and the reason is the 16 gauge steel is heavy, and we're not sure once we pull the existing signage off, we want to make sure that it's safe for everybody. So depending on what the anchor points are and whatnot, we may choose to go with the wood just as a lighter product to make sure that it's here to the building and it's not a safety issue for folks walking along the street. That's the reason I want to have the option of both.
Sure.
Any other questions?
Well, and one other comment, like I said, down there under music, that far right, as I said, the intention is to replace the glass as it was originally, like it would be, you'd see in the first and the second section. If that's not the case, if we can't do that, or if it's cost prohibited, depending on what, quotes we get back, we'll look at doing something with what's already there. And at that point, we'll then present to you folks, hey, look, we're not going to replace it with all glass. We're going to cover it with this and paint it, and we'll bring that to you folks as well. And every door really, most likely will be replaced on the front as well.
Currently, or is that a future project?
The only one that I'm currently looking at is, if you see it would be the third door down where it's yellow. Probably replacing that one with the similar one that goes into there. That would be the only one we're looking at currently, only because we are going to open up that space, and we want to make sure that door works properly and is safe for everyone to use.
And is it the divided light door?
It'll
Is
be
that the
just
door
like,
you would be using?
it'll be just like this, only similar to the ones on there. The bottom half will be, it'll have the same windows, but the bottom half will actually be not windows, because you have to put a push bar on that door. So you can't have a push bar where the windows, so there would be a window in the top that looks like this, and then the bottom would be covered so that we could put a push bar on the inside for egress and safety issues. Does that make sense? Does everybody understand what I mean by that?
So we don't have a picture of what the door would look like.
It's the same design, the same pattern. The bottom 3 rows it would still have the pattern, but it would be covered. It would be the door material, just not be windows.
So there'd be 6 panes at the top. and
Yes,
flat.
correct. Because I don't want people push bar or trying to kick that door open in the event of an emergency, or just the general use, and the fear of people kicking the door, the bottom glass out of the door.
And commissioners, if I may add, the push bar is a required safety egress mechanism that comes down from the Office of the State Fire Marshal. Any area where you will have a gathering of people, there needs to be a quick, easy way to exit in the event of an emergency. So the push bar keeps the door secure from the inside. However, when people are inside and they need to escape, they simply push it and the door opens right up. But it can't be opened from the outside. So it's got that added safety. Sometimes those requirements make it difficult to have a full light door. And I think what Robert's saying is the door will be similar in style, but it will only be a half light door because the push bar will have to be there for egress. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Are there any other further questions, commissioners?
Could we have an itemized list at this point of precisely what we'd be voting on?
So it sounds like the new door with the push bar, the hardy board, and the possible change of material from metal to wood for the sign.
Okay, and the hardy board is just approving what's already up, correct?
It is already up, yes.
And if we have if the color is an issue, it also can be painted to match the gray of the front of the building, or black. I would imagine it would probably look better in gray. But our intention is to leave it because of its durability. Original thought was before it was just OSB board there and it was chipping off, and that's what's in some of the other parts. So it's a more aesthetic look, or aesthetically pleasing look than just the plywood. We could have put the plywood back up, but we chose to do this to make the whole front of the building look a little better. But it can be painted gray if everyone's hung up on the color of the brown to match the rest.
We don't actually have any jurisdiction over colors, so that wouldn't be an issue.
Okay.
We can recommend, but we can't say you must. So then if I understand it, what we're looking at is we're looking at approving. Let's see if I can come to it here. Trying to find it here, just a second.
I'm on the meeting.
It should be in the screen to your left.
Okay, I've studied the application, all relevant documents and presentation related to the case. I'm familiar with the property in question. And I find that the following proposed changes are compatible with the neighborhood. Those changes are the signage, which currently is wood, saying Dante's Bar Art Music, and which has been approved to be metal, could also be wood. And also the hardy board that is currently in place around the door under Dante's. And the replacement of the entrance door, which is required to have a push bar system. I find that those three are compatible with the proportional texture, etc. And based on these findings, I move to approve the proposal pursuant to section 4.1.J.1.C and 2.C NG.
I'll second it, Rob Repan.
Do we have any public comment, LJ?
We do not. Public comment was solicited via Facebook to our email and none was received.
Do we have any comments for those that are currently on the Zoom call?
This is John Felton still. Sounds pretty good.
Thanks, John.
Thanks, John.
Good to me.
All right. Well, having a motion and a second, can we please have the roll call?
Commissioner Dettinburn,
I approve.
Commissioner Repan,
I approve.
Commissioner Hoffman,
Approve.
and Commissioner Brewer.
Approves.
Thank you, everyone. Let the record show that's a unanimous vote in favor.
Thank you, folks.
Thank you very much, Robert.
And good luck.
Paperwork.
Good luck with your project, Robert, and I hope you open up soon.
Thank you. Appreciate it. We'll let everybody know when we do.
All right. Thanks
For
again.
joining us, Tom.
Yep.
All right, our fourth presentation this evening is 11 West Main Street, the Hotel Gunter. Donny Carter's here this evening to talk about some commercial wayfinding signage.
Hello.
Donny. Thanks for joining us this evening.
So we would like to, currently where this sign's located, and I didn't take a picture of what's there, but there's a cork board with a glass front on it. Probably been there since the 80s when the Phalingers remodeled the place. But we would like to replace it with a metal sign. I tried to pick the colors of the Hotel Gunter sign that's copper on the other side of the door, just to have a directory of what is actually located in the building at this time.
Donnie, is it about the same size as the current cork board, or is it smaller, bigger?
It's about exactly the same size. It might be just a hair wider, but height-wise, it's exactly the same height.
Commissioners, do you have any other questions for Mr. Carter?
I think it looks good. It's a good idea.
Looks good. And now people will know exactly where to go.
All right, if there's no further discussion, might we have a motion?
This is Maureen Brewer. I'll make a motion. I have studied the application and all relevant documents and presentation related to this case. I'm familiar with the property in question. I find that the proposed changes are compatible with the neighborhood because there is a general compatibility of exterior design, scale, proportion, arrangement, texture, and materials to be used. Use of exterior materials is closely similar in appearance to original materials of significant buildings in the district. Based on these findings, I move to approve the proposal based on the use of exterior materials closely similar in appearance to the original materials pursuant to section 4.1.j.1.c and 2.g.
I'll second it.
All right, having a motion and a second, do we have any public comment?
None received.
Any of those on the Zoom call? All right, having a motion and a second, can we please have a roll call?
Commissioners Dettinburn,
I approve.
Rep Hand,
I approve.
Hoffman,
Approved.
and Brewer.
Approved.
Thank you. Let the record show that's a unanimous vote and approval. Thank you, Donnie.
Thank you.
All right. Do we have any old business or new business this evening, LJ?
I think we have, oh, sorry, we have one more. We have one more application to consider. And this is.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
No problem. This is Wesley Kroll, 21 Frost Avenue. And here comes his application and packet.
I'm sorry, that must not have printed out when I printed out the agenda. I apologize.
Oh, no problem. This is the last application. And it's for the application of metal roofing at 21 Frost Avenue. And so I'll let Wesley take it from here.
Good evening and welcome. Can you tell us about your project?
Yes, ma'am. My family and I, we badly need a new roof on our house. We've checked with several contractors as far as asphalt shingles versus the metal. Essentially, we've come to the conclusion we would like to go back to the metal, in part because it's Our house is 100 years old this year. It was built in 1920. The house originally had a metal roof on it. Apparently it got changed over to asphalt shingles somewhere previous to the Historic Commission. But the gentleman that originally built the house, his son had came here some years back to look at it. And the house originally had a metal roof. And we considered that, the durability and life of the metal roof versus the asphalt shingles. We feel like we'd prefer the appearance of the metal roof. And in reality, when we've gotten quotes on it, it's actually a cost savings to go with the metal. Effectively, we would be having the current roof stripped off to see if there's any bad spots or anything underneath before it's recovered. And then they would be putting the furring strips down. And I think they have there it's a G-rib metal roof, would be in a gray color. Would seem to work well with our house. And it would work well, I think, with our neighborhood. We have various houses right around us with metal roof. Mrs. McMoran right behind us has the metal roof on her home. Patricia along us here, she has the metal roof. Her backyard comes in behind us. I think there's another one out water, and I think there may be another one either on or coming here on Frost. And the contractor we would be using would be CHS Contracting.
Do we have a picture of the house, LJ?
I'm sorry, I don't have one here for you. Let's see, I can get you one. I can get you one quickly.
I know. I can't do it. Just a minute. I'm sorry.
Commissioners, are there any other questions for the Krolls?
And I should say as well, the roof would be being replaced on the house as well as the front and back porches.
And would it all be that same material that you were talking about?
Yes, yes.
Can you see that?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I should have had that in your packet.
Okay.
That was my oversight.
Well, I hadn't thought of it myself.
I don't see it, but I looked it up before the meeting, so.
Thanks, Rob.
All right, if there aren't any other questions, can we have a motion?
This is Bill Dettinburn. I'll make the motion. I have studied the application and all relevant documents and presentation related to this case, and I'm familiar with the property in question. I find that the proposed changes are compatible with the neighborhood because there is a general compatibility of exterior design, scale, proportion, arrangement, texture, and material to be used. Based on these findings, I move to approve the proposal pursuant to 4.1.J.1.7 or point C, excuse me.
This is Maureen Brewer. I will second.
All right, did we have any public comment, LJ?
No, Chair Hein, we did not. Thank you.
All right, any from our Zoom call here? All right, hearing none, can we have the roll call?
Commissioners Detterman,
I approve.
Pan,
I approve.
Hoffman,
I approve.
and Brewer.
Approved. Sorry, I was muted.
Thank you very much. Let the record show that was a unanimous vote approving the project.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for joining
All
us
right,
this
you're
evening, and we'll be in touch.
Thank you so very much. You all have a good evening.
Same to you.
Thank you. All right, it looks like we do not have any old business. But we do have some new business, the Community Legacy Building Facade and ADA Improvement Grant Program.
Yes, our grants manager, Laura Michael, has procured community legacy funding, which you probably recall in the past. We've used to update facades in our business district, which also comprises much of our historic district. This year, we're in receipt of more grant funding, and we're gearing it not only toward facade improvement, but also ADA upgrades, which can be, it can be difficult to make happen in a historic district. We have many stairs and steps and odd angles. So we thought it would be great to try to help people improve the ADA accessibility of their businesses. So this is an ad that went out on Facebook, and applications are currently being accepted and will be accepted until next Monday. And then we'll have a ranking rubric that we'll use to decide, which projects are going to be eligible for the funding. So I just wanted to let you know that that was a nice opportunity that's coming up, and hopefully it will bring some more applications to your meeting.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Let me ask a question while we're bringing that up, because I'm also representing the Elks, and we were going to apply last year, and we are going to apply this year. We want to put a handicap accessible ramp into our building, because there, like you said, there are steps no matter how you try to get in.
Mm-hmm.
And what we're now proposing to do is, we went through a couple of variations, but we're now preparing to do is make a door through a bump out off of the parking lot and coming through what's now a storeroom to get into the building. Would we need, so we will do a ramp that cuts back and forth, and then we'll add a door. Should we apply through the historic district for that?
Will it be visible from Main Street, or will it be on the back side of the building?
No, it'll be visible. It'll be, because it's from the parking lot side. We don't own much on the other side.
That should definitely come before the commission.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, we'll have all the drawings. Unfortunately, between the time we got our estimate last year and this year, and we just met with the contractor, it's doubled and tripled.
Oh my gosh,
So yeah, what was going to
that's
be
a big change.
a $9,000 project last year looks like 20 to 22 this year.
Wow.
Same project, basically.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, this is a 50-50 grant match program, so hopefully that helps.
Well, with ADA, I think it's 75, 25.
Oh, that's right. It's 75 and 25 with ADA.
That will help us a lot, because, as you know, we were closed completely for a long time. So.
Mhm.
Hey, LJ, I have a question. Is that grant, do you have to have ADA upgrades to be considered for the grant, or?
You don't have to have ADA upgrades to be considered, but those will be scored the highest.
All right, our other item under new business, the October and November meeting dates, because they will fall on holidays. In October, it would be Columbus Day, and in November would be Veterans Day.
So typically we have this discussion every September, because historically, City Hall has followed the calendar where we would be closed on Columbus Day. However, we have changed our schedule and we are now going to be open on Columbus Day. So I wanted to just talk to you about it, because we can have the meeting on Monday, October 12th, if that pleases you, or we could discuss an alternative date. But we don't have to change it this year. And then again for November, we don't have to change that one either. We can go ahead and meet on Monday, November 9th, because Veterans Day will be observed on Wednesday, November 11th this year. So we kind of got a reprieve from changing our schedules this year. And of course, I would defer to what works for you as far as keeping or changing our October and November meeting dates.
Either would be okay with me.
To keep them as they are?
Yes.
Yes.
Do we generally have a consensus then to keep the meeting dates as they are?
Sure.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's fine.
Great. Okay, well, that's easy this year then. Thanks.
I had something, I think that's the end of our new business.
It is.
Okay. I just had thought about something. Our alternate, Daniel Filer, we have not had him here with us in quite some time. And I was wondering if we might not invite him, even if we wouldn't need him, just to join us for a meeting? Or is that not something that we can do?
We absolutely can do that, and I would be happy to extend that invitation to him. And just so you know, he does receive all the group emails that I send, and he does receive the monthly information packages as well. And he does keep up with us and stay in touch. So it would be nice to meet with him in person again. And so I'll gladly invite him to the next meeting.
Okay, that would be great. Thanks, LJ.
My pleasure.
All right. I think we have come to the end of the agenda. Commissioners, can I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn, Joe Hoffman.
Maureen
Second,
Brewer,
it's Bill
second.
Detterman.
Okay, all of us are second.
All right. All in favor, please say aye.
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 And that was a unanimous vote, I assume.
Yes.
Thanks very much, everyone. I really appreciate your service. Thank you for your service to our community.
Okay, see you guys soon. Thank
Thanks
you.
for putting this all
Good
together.
night.
Have a great
Good night.
evening.
See you guys.